So, how did you get interested in working with people with ADHD, and how long have you been doing it for?
I liked it, but I felt that maybe I was more would be more effective working with more on a one-to-one basis. At least that was my original takeaway.
Hmm.
I got out of teaching for a while, and then had an opportunity to go to start doing some graduate work in special education. I didn't really know that much about it, but quite frankly, it's like had nothing better to do, and thought it was time to start doing some graduate work.
Yeah.
And when I started learning about, at that time, children with learning disabilities, I found it very interesting, and I realized that I'd actually had kids like that that I had taught previously, but didn't make that connection. And finished up my master's degree. Then at that point, I wanted to go back to teaching. I was fortunate that I wound up getting a job in a small private school, about 50 students, K through 8, and they were all kids with learning disabilities or ADD, or probably a lot. We didn't have an actual criteria. We didn't have a specific criteria for students to get in, but it was a school that was meant to meet their needs. And that turned out to be the most rewarding teaching experience in many ways that I've ever had. I looked forward to going to work with the kids. I felt good about the day when I came home.
Why is it rewarding for you?
For me personally, at a kind of an intellectual level, it was like either putting together a puzzle or kind of unlocking a mystery. I could see that the kids I was working with were bright, interesting, had a lot going on, but they struggled with reading or writing or spelling or sometimes all three, and sometimes math. I felt that every day I was trying to find the key that was going to unlock what they could do. And obviously, as you know, I think from your own experience and certainly from a teacher's experience, it's a lot of hit or miss. You have good days, you have not so good days.
Yeah.
You think you get something done one day, you come back and it's like the kid never saw you before the next day.
Yeah.
But over time, I really felt that I was starting to make a difference in their lives. And I think that was the second thing. The first was sort of this intellectual curiosity. It was kind of cool. But the second part was then I could see what effect that had. I could see these kids changing. I could see them particularly building their confidence level. And that became, I think that was really the root of my satisfaction is I saw them becoming closer to the people they wanted to be.
Do you have any specific method that you use when you're working with kids with ADHD or learning differences?
I would say it's whatever works method. And actually, it's interesting because that's a huge piece of education today, is called RTI, or response to instruction, as a way of trying to, in many ways, of not overdiagnosing kids with learning disabilities, but it really represents, I think, what good teachers try to do, and that is you try to get to know a person, a student, a kid, whoever it may be. You try to figure out strengths and weaknesses and holes to fill and so on, and then put together instruction that responds to that. I think the idea of response to instruction is if the first thing that you try doesn't work, there are probably other things to try.
How did you find and hear about Friends of Quinn, and what do you like about it?
This is a great story because this past Father's Day, my family gave me a book called A Different Life by somebody named Quinn Bradlee. It's literally this past June. I happened to be on vacation, which gives me time to do the reading that I like to do. I read your book in 2 days. I loved it. It resonated with the experience that I had after I had been teaching for a while when I started my doctoral work, and then actually my research in the field of learning disabilities, because I have been very involved in looking at how how people with learning disabilities become successful adults. And I saw so much of that in your book. And I was kind of fascinated by it. And the fact that I live, 60 miles from you, and that you have the website, I contacted your website and said I dug your book, and also that I felt that maybe it would be a good connection for us to have. And then things kind of moved on from there, and wound up doing an interview with your mom and you, and then starting to blog. And I'll say that that's something that has almost given me a sense of coming full circle. That I've spent more than 20 years doing research on how people can become successful, and now I feel that I'm trying to share that with adolescents and young adults.
All right, well, thank you very much, Henry. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Quinn.
All right, take care.
Okay, you take care too.
Yep, bye.
Bye-bye.